Hello everyone, today we are going to see data providers in TestNG. So on the screen you can see that data providers is one of the annotation. You have @ symbol before data provider. So we'll be seeing practically how it works and helps in TestNG. So let's switch back to our Eclipse editor now. Coming back to our Eclipse editor, you can see that I have already created a arith class here, and inside arith class I have one of the test case or test method. Test method name is sum. So this particular function is adding two different integers and printing out the result. So that's the only function, and we have already given hard-coded values here 10 and 20, which sums up to 30. Let's try to run this test first without any data provider. This is a normal test. So let's run this through TestNG, run as, and TestNG test. You can see the test has passed. Sum is 30, which we have given the value, and we are able to run this test case successfully. So now in this test case, we can execute this test once and it will give same result every time, okay, because we have already given this numbers or we have already given this values to our integers. What if I want to run this same method with different set of inputs? Let's say there are 2 to 3 more inputs and I have to run this same test case. So instead of having different test method or 2 to 3 different test methods inside this class, or having different variables declared, what we can do is we can add one more method for providing the data to our test method. Let's try to do that. So I have created one sendData method, and inside sendData method I am adding an object class here. Let's change it to object.java, and we have created one object for this. I am going to add different set of input values inside our object data. So here what I can do is, as we have two integer value here, I'll add two different set of data. For example, 100 and 100. I want to add 50 and 60. I want to add 1, 1. So these are different input data, and we will pick up each input data and run the same function and get the different results. So for that, what I'll be doing is I'll just remove this values, and we have to provide @DataProvider annotation. Let's import this. Okay, and here we have to tell this sum method or sum test to take the data, different set of data from data provider method. So for that we need to provide a parameter here called DataProvider. And we need to send the function name, which is sendData in our case. So we have already mentioned to this particular sum test that take the data from this particular function. Now we also need to pass the values or parameters. Let's try to run and see if it is working. Run as TestNG test. Okay, we have a failure here. So what's the failure? It returned the null value because we have not returned anything. We'll change the method type to object, and now let's run again. Now in this case we have 0 failures. You can see that we have provided 3 different set of values, 3 different test data to execute same test with different input. And what we have done is, with this set of data we have passed all our data with the help of DataProvider annotation to our test method. Test method has picked up those things or those values and have added the sum and then printed out the result. Now you can see the result has printed as 100 plus 100, 50 plus 60 and 1 plus 1. You can also use this DataProvider for different tests. Let's try that. I have one more test, multiply, and this time I'll just multiply and print out the result. Let's pass the parameters also. Let's pass the DataProvider. So our first method is sum, second method is multiplication, and we are passing this set of value to both the methods. For the first method we will get result for sum, for the second method we will get result for multiplication. So let's try to run this. As you can see, we have only 2 tests and we have 3 different inputs. Okay, here you can say multiplication and run again to get your clean output. Okay, we have the sum calculated, we have the multiplication calculated. So what DataProvider does is, DataProvider is used to send data to our test cases, and our test cases can be run with multiple set of inputs. So that's all guys. This is the use of DataProvider in TestNG. Thanks all.